Welcome to lesson 60 of Hunger and Thirst for Righteousness. It's called Seeking Truth. And so we'll go ahead and get into this today. This lesson will be kind of on the shorter end compared to the last few ones. I guess it's a little break from longer lessons today. And maybe not so in depth also with some very deep revelation, but very necessary revelation to talk about today. Seeking Truth. So we're going to read a little bit of this chapter in 1 Kings 10. And then we'll go to Jesus like we always do, and we'll keep it flowing. And so it says, "Now when the queen of Sheba heard about the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to test him with difficult questions. She came to Jerusalem with a large retinue, with camels carrying spices and very much gold and precious stones. When she came to Solomon, she spoke with him about all that was in her heart. Solomon answered all her questions. Nothing was hidden from the king which he did not explain to her. When the queen of Sheba perceived all the wisdom of Solomon, the house that he had built, the food of his table, the seating of his servants, the attendance of his waiters in their attire, his cupbearers, and his stairway by which he went up to the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her. Then she said to the king, "It was a true report which I heard in my own land about your words and your wisdom. Nevertheless, I did not believe the reports until I came in my own eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. You exceed in wisdom and prosperity the report which I heard. How blessed are your men, how blessed are these your servants who stand before you continually and hear your wisdom. Blessed be the Lord your God who delighted in you to set you on the throne of Israel, because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore he made you king to do justice and righteousness." She gave the king 120 talents of gold and a very great amount of spices and precious stones. Never again did such abundance of spices come in as that which the queen of Sheba gave King Solomon. Also the ships of Hiram, which brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir a very great number of almug trees and precious stones. Sorry, a couple tongue twisters in there. The king made of the almug trees supports for the house of the Lord and for the king's house, also lyres and harps for the singers. Such almug trees have not come in again, nor have they been seen to this day. King Solomon gave to the queen of Sheba all her desire which she requested, besides what he gave her according to his royal bounty. Then she turned and went to her own land together with her servants. And so you understand this queen of Sheba, quite literally, did she travel countries, to go and hear the wisdom that God placed in Solomon's heart. Not man's wisdom, but this is God's wisdom. Remember that it literally has said that God blessed him with this wisdom. It's not from his own doing. It's not from even from him looking at books and whatever it is. God placed his wisdom in this man's heart. So the point of why we're reading this is we're looking at Sheba's efforts to attain the truth. Sheba's the queen. Who has more responsibility in the world than a queen? And she took time off from ruling her kingdom, from all her people, to come and seek out this wisdom of God. To come and seek out this wisdom of God. And so I'm going to let Jesus talk a little bit, and then we'll talk some more. I'm going to let him talk first, and then I'll come after him, because we're supposed to do, right? So Matthew 12 goes from verse 38 to verse 42. Then some of the scribes and Pharisees said to him, "Teacher, we want to see a sign from you." But he answered and said to them, "An evil and adulterous generation craves for a sign, and yet no sign will be given to it but the sign of Jonah the prophet. For just as Jonah was 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of the sea monster, so will the Son of Man be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. The men of Nineveh will stand up with this generation at the judgment and will condemn it, because they repented at the preaching of Jonah. And behold, something greater than Jonah is here. The queen of the south will rise up with this generation at the judgment and will condemn it, because she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon. And behold, something greater than Solomon is here. Something greater than Solomon is here. And so this lesson is called seeking truth. Why? Because there's something he just said. He said that you'll be condemned. Why would that generation be condemned? Why will she condemn this generation? Because she came from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon. Because of the great length she went to attain the truth. The great length she went to seek God. Which we know by now there are 7 spirits of God. The fear of the Lord, the spirit of knowledge, the spirit of strength, the spirit of counsel, the spirit of understanding, the spirit of wisdom, and the spirit of the Lord. So when we hear this wisdom that God plays inside of Solomon, are we really talking about even Solomon's wisdom anymore? No, we're talking about the God's wisdom that is inside of Solomon. We're talking about God that he possesses. And she was willing to go great lengths to hear this wisdom and to attain this wisdom. And she said, he literally says this queen of the south will condemn this generation. Why? That generation. Now, generations in the Bible are not just physical. There's also spiritual generations that we're also seeing manifest today. If you listen to the 7 habitations talk, you're getting an idea of what I'm talking about. But there's a generation today that he will condemn, that she will condemn. Why? Because she went from the ends of the earth to hear the wisdom of Solomon. She went from the ends of the earth to seek the truth. She came from the ends of the earth to seek God. In this generation that I'm talking about, will not lift a finger to know God. Will not lift a finger to seek out the fear of the Lord. Will not lift a finger to seek out the knowledge that keeps us from perishing. Will not lift up a finger to witness the strength of God. Will not go out of their house to attain the counsel of God. Won't even travel a city to attain the understanding of God, much less go a whole country away to hear and study and listen and to receive the wisdom of God. But most of the time won't even open your phone to receive the Spirit of the Lord. That's why she will condemn this generation that he's talking about, which is a parable for a generation that also exists in this time. Now, we'll get into this because I love how he says something greater than Solomon is here. We understand that Jesus Christ is the truth. And so quite literally, if you think about seeking this truth, it all begins and ends with Jesus Christ. Now, we'll talk about how today we know that Jesus Christ is not here, but how also today there is something greater here. Even from Solomon and even from Jesus' time, which he told us will be greater here now. And so, Matthew 6:33 says, but seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. This is one of the first mindset, this is a mindset command that he gives us. The first time that he's told us to direct our focus and our heart and what we should be thinking about, what our focus should be on. Seek first his kingdom. He said first. That's what matters more than anything. Did he say trying not to sin? No. Did he say going to church? No. Did he say trying to get married? No. Trying to find friends? No. Trying to take care of your family? No. No. He said first is seeking his kingdom. In a second, we'll talk about why. If this comes first, all the other things don't matter. But along with his kingdom is his righteousness. So what is his righteousness? What does he think is right? What does he believe is right? What does God teach as right? What does he believe is right? Seek his righteousness. Seek his kingdom. So seek his reality. Seek his reality. Seek his kingdom. Seek his habitation. Seek his people. Seek the reality of God and the habitation that he lives in. Not the kingdom of the world, but his kingdom. Seek his righteousness, not what men and what flesh thinks is right. What does he think is right? It says, and all these things will be added to you. If you know what these things are, it's the physical things. It's the food he was talking about. It's the clothes. It's the monetary provision. He says, seek his kingdom and his righteousness, and all the physical things will be added to your life. So now, with understanding this is a reality, and this is something you have to understand when it comes to seeking truth. You're either going to, how do I say this? You're either going to allow the excuses to keep you from the truth, or you're going to be dedicated to conquering the excuses in your heart that's keeping you from the truth. So I'm going to give you guys 7 scenarios in the Bible, in the Gospels, because we know Jesus to be the truth. 7 scenarios where people were faced with tribulation of getting to him. Because these are realities. The gospel comes to give us a reality, what reality actually is. The trials and tribulations that we face in our hearts, that we may allow to be excuses, but these gospels are coming to show us that these are not valid excuses as to why you can't seek the truth. Matthew 4:18-20. Now as Jesus was walking by the Sea of Galilee, he saw 2 brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. Immediately they left their nets and followed him. So what was the challenge that they were faced with seeking Jesus, following him, coming after him, getting to know him? What was it? It was work in their jobs. They were fishermen. But the reality is that this excuse is not valid. How much more worth is God than your job? Second one. Going on from there, he saw 2 other brothers, James, the son of Zebedee, and John, his brother, in the boat with Zebedee, their father, mending their nets. And he called them. Immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. So what was their challenge? They had 2 challenges. It was the boat, which was their work, because they were also fishermen. But the second was their family. And these are excuses that we in the flesh give, and we think that God is just like okay with these excuses. But the reality is that he has seen people love him enough to seek him regardless of these excuses. So he knows it's possible. It is possible for a man to choose him over your job. It is possible for a man to choose him over your family. Will you allow these excuses to keep you from seeking the truth? Next one, Matthew 9:1-2. Getting into a boat, Jesus crossed over the sea and came to his own city. And they brought him a paralytic lying on the bed. Seeing their faith, Jesus said to the paralytic, take courage, son, your sins are forgiven. So, in this moment, he said his sins are forgiven. Down the line in this story, he tells him to get up and walk, and he heals him from being paralyzed. Now, what's the challenge in this scenario? The challenge in the tribulation in seeking truth in this scenario, it's sickness. It's how my body feels. It's about physical limitations. Will you allow the excuse of your physical limitations keeping you from Jesus Christ? There are some people that are so worried about what they're going through that they cannot give themselves Jesus Christ. Oh, I have I don't know. We'll start basic and get deeper. I have allergies. For that reason, I can't come and talk to Jesus today because I'm sneezing too much. The next one's, oh, I have asthma. I have asthma. Oh, the Bible stays outside. I don't know if I can go out there. I might start coughing too much. The next one is let's see. I don't know. We can even go even deeper, saying, "Oh, I have cancer. I have cancer. I can't read the Bible. I have cancer. I have too much to worry about with my cancer." Some people, you have diabetes. Oh, I have too much on my mind with this diabetes. I just can't read the Word of God right now. I can't do it. But little do we understand, and we're going to talk about this in a second. But little do we understand that on the side of seeking truth is all of our desires. Everything we desire is in seeking the truth. This man came to Jesus. He sought the truth. He's coming to the truth. And he leaves healed. So you know what? Sometimes God is waiting on you to choose him over your illnesses for you to even be healed. He's waiting for you to choose him over the allergies, over the asthma, over the AIDS, over the HIV, over the STD, over the mental health a label that they put on you, whether it be the depression, the anxiety, the ADD, the ADHD, the Parkinson's disease, the Down syndrome. He's waiting on you to choose him over it. He's waiting on you to believe in him more than your illness. But this is just another example of the excuses that keep us from seeking truth and coming closer to the Lord and seeing him and getting to him and actually understanding him. Because all these excuses, little do we understand, the only people that actually understood Jesus Christ were his disciples, and they didn't even understand why they were with him. And he told them, you have ears to hear, you have eyes to see. But when they were with him, they didn't even understand him. Over time, they understood him. But they're the only ones that came to actually understand God, understand the truth, understand Jesus. Why? Because they were willing to devote their time to him. Whether you want to believe it or not, there is a likeness to the time you are giving God and your love for him. Some of us give God 20 minutes a week. Some of us give him 1 hour a month. Some of us give him 20 minutes a day. Some of us give him an hour a day. Some of us give him 5 hours a day. Some of them give us our whole lives. But you've got to see the reality of the time and the excuses that you are allowing to live in your life to keep you from knowing the truth, keep you from seeking the truth, keep you from being all the way in with him. And you've got to understand that on the other side of seeking him are solutions to your excuses. Solutions to your excuses. So next one. We're going to go with Zacchaeus here, okay? Zacchaeus. He entered Jericho and was passing through, and there was a man called by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. Zacchaeus was trying to see who Jesus was and was unable to, and was unable because of the crowd, for he was small in stature. I'm sorry, guys. I am tongue-tied today. So he ran on ahead and climbed up into a sycamore tree in order to see him, for he was about to pass through that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for today I must stay at your house. And he hurried and came down and received him gladly. So what I love about the Zacchaeus story is another example of something holding another testing object is going to keep you from the truth. The crowds. Are you willing to be like Zacchaeus, who climbed up in a tree just so he could see the truth? He couldn't see the truth in the crowds. He was too small. There was no way possible he was going to get to Jesus Christ in the crowd. There was no way possible that Jesus was going to notice him in the crowd. But are you willing to go to unconventional lengths to come out of the crowd, to be no to step out of the crowd to see the truth? Are you willing? But you know what that takes? That takes of not of a little bit of security and not being fearful of looking, for lack of better words, foolish or stupid. This small midget man is in the tree trying to see Jesus Christ. He looks as, that's kind of a fried visual there. But what are you willing to do to see the truth? What if God tells you that you can't blend in with the I'm so tongue tied. I'm sorry, guys. You can't blend in with the crowd and see the truth. Will you be willing to step out of it? So now we're going to read this parable, which we've read a couple times, but this is our last three excuses right here that are just, we have to understand, they're not plausible. Like, we think that I had to do this, I had to do that. This was more important. What's more important? Luke 14, starting at verse 16, it says, "But he said to him, a man was giving a big dinner, and he invited many. And at the dinner hour, he sent his slave to say to those who had been invited, 'Come, for everything is ready now.' But they all alike began to make excuses. The first one said to him, 'I have bought a piece of land. I need to go out and look at it. Please consider me excused.' Another one said, 'I have bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I am going to try them out. Please consider me excused.' Another one said, 'I have married a wife, and for that reason I cannot come.' And the slave came back and reported this to his master. Then the head of the household became angry and said to his slaves, 'Go out at once into the streets and lanes of the city and bring in here the poor and crippled and blind and lame.'" So the excuses that were given, before we keep going, the excuses. First one said, "I have a piece of land. I need to go out and look at it. I want to go stare at my property. I want to go stare at my property. For this reason, I can't come." And this is a great parable of fellowship with the Lord and coming to eat from him and receiving truth. I can't come because I have to go stare at my property. I got to go look at my property. The love of possessions. The next one says, "I bought 5 yoking." Now, 5 yoke of oxen. Wow. And I'm going to try them out. Now, the yoke actually is a parable about the worries and the responsibilities that we put on ourselves. So he said, I've just, put all these great responsibilities on me, these great and very hefty responsibilities, these yokes I have. I have 5 yokes of oxen I need to go try out. Please consider me excused. The next one said, "I've married a wife." So the other one says this about his responsibilities. The first one was his possessions. The second one was his responsibilities. The third one is marriage. Is that we even think that this is plausible, that God actually is like, "Oh, okay, yeah, okay, you got married, that's cool. Don't come talk to me. Don't come listen to me. Don't come learn from me. Don't come get the truth." No. He was angry. He was angry at these excuses. The end of the parable. "And the slave said, 'Master, what you commanded has been done, and still there is room.' And the master said to the slave, 'Go into the highways and along the hedges, and compel them to come in, so that my house may be filled. For I tell you, none of those men who were invited shall taste of my dinner.'" None. None. And so the reality is that we think that we're going to give God all these excuses as to why we can't come to this truth, and you're still going to know the truth, and he's still going to feed you his heavenly manna. He's still going to have this great fellowship with you, and it's not true. It's not true. The excuses are not valid as to why you're not giving your heart to truly seeking the truth. Like he said, the queen of South will stand up and condemn the generation. Why? because they're not willing to do anything to seek the truth. You're not willing to lift a finger. But what length will you go? Will you go to seek the truth? Now we'll finish this off with this. Psalm 37:4 says, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you desires of your heart." Now we understand how true this is. Not only for we just saw with the paralytic man, who delighted himself in the Lord, and his desires of his heart was given to him, and him being healed. But we're going to go back to the story in the continuation down the line in 1 Kings. It says, so King Solomon became greater than all the kings of the earth in the riches and wisdom, All the earth was seeking the presence of Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. Now, why am I saying this? Because you understand that them seeking out Solomon was him. Them seeking out Solomon was them seeking and delighting in the Lord. Why? Because it's the wisdom which God put in his heart. So yes, them coming to this physical man was, in God's sight, them seeking the Lord and seeking truth and seeking his kingdom. Because it was his wisdom. That's his spirit. It's the spirit of God. It is God. We have to understand in concerns of delighting yourself in the Lord, and he will give you desires of your heart. That is, she delighted herself in the wisdom of Solomon, which is the Lord, which was God, was the Lord's wisdom. It says King Solomon gave to the queen of Sheba all her desire which she requested, besides what he gave her according to his royal bounty. Then she turned and went to her own land together with her servants. So as she sought this truth, she received everything she actually desired. Everything she requested was given to her. Some of us have to understand that we live these lives where we make excuses for our desires, but we're never actually attaining our desires. Why? Because you refuse to delight yourself in the Lord. And what you don't understand is your desires are on the other side of delighting yourself for the Lord. Not chasing your desires, but chasing the Lord is what will fulfill your desires. Chasing the Lord will fulfill your desires. So this was a great lesson about seeking the truth. This was lesson 50. We do tithe and offering. MFA pulls $800 a week to ensure that God's word can and will continue to this ministry. The rest of the money is redistributed back out to those that gave. We would love to be the first to bless you. That's money sign Christ King Way on Cash App, and that's at MFH Ministry on PayPal. This was a great lesson to do with you. Seeking truth. What length will you go to seek the truth? There's no excuse, family. We'll be back soon, lesson 61. Have a blessed day.